Hello everybody, I am Insomniac and today we're rounding off my samurai tutorials with the Nobushi character. Now, as you can see on screen, she is a so-called hybrid character. She is supposedly hard to play, has long range and versatile retreats. And what all of that means, of course, I'm gonna show you in this video. Let's start off versus the level 0 bot. Now, as always, we're gonna take a look at the moveset first, starting with her moves. To begin with, Nobushi has 3 chains. She has light, 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 heavy, and heavy, heavy. So this, for example, is light, 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 and this is light, heavy, and this would be heavy, heavy. Pretty common chains for that matter. Something that you will have probably noticed already is that there is this purple liquid drop symbol right next to the light, light, light chain, and this means that the last hit applies bleed damage. Nobushi is the first character that I'm taking a look at that has a running heavy attack as well as a running light attack. So the running light looks like this, and the run in heavy looks like this. And again, the run in light causes bleed damage. Now, as for more of her attacks, Nobushi has dash light attacks in all of the 3 directions, as well as sight dash heavy attacks. And all of those look something like this. And again, her dash light attacks cause bleed damage and her dash heavy attacks just deal regular damage. Now, Nobushi has another quote-unquote chain, which is the guard break throw light chain. Now, as it says on the chain right here, if the first guard break connects, you can press the second one and then light, and that will obviously guard break throw your opponent into this guaranteed light that has the exact same animation as her dash light attacks that also cause bleed damage. And then for the last bleed inducing attack that Nobushi has, it's the Viper's Retreat, and this one, as you see right here, is not done with the right but instead with the left stick, which on keyboard would be your S key or whatever key you use to walk backwards. So walk back, input, plus light at the same time gives you the Viper's Retreat. This move is special in that it has the biggest range out of every move in the game, as well as it has the weird effect of pushing my opponent backwards. Even though Peacekeeper is standing right in front of me, if I do this move, it pushes her back, or just pushes me back, whatever way you want to look at it. We're gonna move on to her utility moves. So we're first gonna look at the kick, which, as you can see, after almost any light or heavy attack, you can chain a kick after that. So for example, I could do light into kick, or I could do light, light into kick, or even light, light, light into kick, or even something as simple as heavy into kick. This works after almost every attack. So the attacks it doesn't work after is very important for you to know as a Nobushi player. So for example, you can't chain it after a dash light. Then you also can't do a kick after the Viper's Retreat, as you can see right here. However, you can do it after a dash heavy. Even though it's quite delayed, it still gets quite a few players, because most of the time you do an attack immediately into the kick, whereas the dash heavies are the only attacks that have some sort of delay between you doing the heavy attack and the kick, so that's really useful. At any point in any of the 3 chains or dash heavies, you can do the kick, so that's a lot of moves you can chain into. The only thing that your opponent has to do to get out of it is either dodge the kick after any attack, or simply just block the second light after the first guaranteed one if they get hit by the kick. So it's really easy to get out of this quote-unquote infinite, but it's nice for Nobushi to have such a infinitely high combo potential. So that was her first utility move. The second utility move is the swift recoil, and I can't demonstrate this on a level 0 bot because, as you can see there on the move list, it is block and then you press dodge. So what that does I'm gonna explain later on, but basically basically it creates distance between you and your opponent when you block an enemy attack, so that's useful. And then we have hidden stance, and hidden stance is something that is completely unique to Nobushi and does many great things for you. So how do you do hidden stance? Because it just says backwards input on your right stick, or basically pulling down with your mouse. You see the 3 attack directions, either top, left, or right. But Nobushi in that sense has a 4th direction, which is downwards, which is not an attack direction, of course, but you have to pull, for example, your stick down to get this. Note that this stance costs stamina, you don't get it back, and you can hold it for as long as you want. But there are many more things that you have to know about hidden stance, but we're gonna discuss that when we move on to the traits, which we could, because we're done with all of them, but obviously Nobushi still has one more attack, which is her zone attack. A very fast roundhouse slash followed up by a bleed causing stab. I'm gonna go ahead of myself here and already tell you that you can cancel the zone with feint. As you might have seen there, those 2 animations look extremely similar. So similar to the point where even the best of opponents still fall for this bait. It's a very common thing for Nobushi to do a zone attack and then cancel it to bait a parry from your opponent. Of course, the best opponent will initiate the parry and then feint that heavy, so be ready for that as well. But what you can do if that happens is you can initiate the zone attack, cancel it into guard break when the enemy initiates his heavy, because in the startup frames of any heavy attack you can guard break your opponent and they can't do anything against it. But this is not something that you do on reaction to your opponent doing heavies, because if you try to do that then you're most likely going to be too slow. That is obviously true for any character, but Nobushi gets the most out of it since cancelling her zone baits a lot of people. Now that we have taken a look at all of her moves, we're gonna take a look at her hero specific traits. And as always, when we've taken a look at the hero specific traits, we don't care about renown and revenge mode. So the first trait on the list would be Way of the Shark, which is a passive ability. And this is something that Nobushi has for balancing purposes. Now you might be asking, why do I say that? Now the thing is, as you might know, if you parry lights, you get the biggest punishes possible. And Nobushi doesn't have extremely fast lights, as you can see. Against a really good opponent will parry your lights more often than you would like to. So because this is a thing, there are multiple ways of balancing this extremely big downside of Nobushi. So the first measure that was taken to balance these slow lights is the trait Way of the Shark. And Way of the Shark makes it so that Nobushi does more damage if she hits a already bleeding opponent. Now, how much is this damage increase, you might ask? Well, let me try to demonstrate it. So her top heavy is the most damaging move that she has. So let's apply some bleed damage and take a look at that damage again. Now, I wasn't able to see how much exactly that was, but I'm gonna edit in how much of a percentage-wise damage increase this is. So yeah, with that damage increase, Nobushi goes from not all too high damage output to extremely high damage output. This is a very, very good trait because it does more than just allowing you to deal more damage against a bleeding opponent. First of all, your opponent will already be stressed out that they're bleeding, and if you hit them, you deal insane amounts of damage for a Nobushi. So that is a very strong momentum shift in your favor, as well as this is a very easy momentum shift for you to achieve, just because you dealt bleed damage. And as you might have been able to count in the move list right here, there are 5 ways that Nobushi can deal bleed damage. So she will obviously try to cause bleed damage as often as she can, and then try to get some heavy attacks in, because the damage output on those heavies is then comparable to those of Shugoki. So she really goes from mediocre damage output to top tier damage output just because you did something that Nobushi is very good at doing. This is a very, very strong trait. Moving on, we have the hidden stance equivalent to the hidden stance move, and this tries to explain hidden stance, and it's nice for a change that the description actually tells pretty accurately what Hidden Stance does. Hidden Stance has a dodge property on startup. I can't demonstrate that against the level 0 bot, so we're not going to go in depth on that just yet. So on the second line right there, it says basic attacks startup can be cancelled into Hidden Stance. It says basic attacks here, but that means light attacks. And yes, you heard me correctly. You can fake or feint your light attacks into Hidden Stance. The only other character that is able to feint or fake light attacks is Berserker, but the only thing he gets after that is a dash light, so not all too much. But with Nobushi, you can fake your slow ass light attacks into Hidden Stance, which you can then follow up by regular attacks, kicks, or a dodge. So very high skilled Nobushis will do a light, cancel that into Hidden Stance, which maybe causes your opponent to try to parry your slow lights, which you can then follow up by a light attack, like this. And the thing is, if you follow up Hidden Stance with a light attack, Hidden Stance in that sense replaces your first light attack. So the light attack that you hit out of Hidden Stance guarantees your, in that sense, third light, which causes bleed damage. Like this. And obviously you can follow that up with a kick. All like this. But light attacks are not the only thing you can do out of Hidden Stance. You can also do heavies. And if you were able to tell, attacks out of Hidden Stance are a little bit faster than the regular version. So here is a side-by-side comparison on the, for example, top heavy. As it says as well, you can do Hidden Stance into a dodge. Something that the description doesn't say right here is that Hidden Stance, and even though it's in its name, it hides your attack direction. So your opponent doesn't see what you're gonna do after it. The next trait would be Cancel Attack Recovery. Attacks can be followed up by Hidden Stance, Viper's Retreat, or Kick, and then again Kick can be followed up by Hidden Stance or Cobra Strike. This just means that you can cancel attacks into Hidden Stance, Viper's Retreat, or Kick, even if they don't hit. Every move in this game has whiff recovery, some more than others, but if I were to do a heavy, that's the recovery frame and I can still kick out of this. Then we have another trait which is called Light Attack Combo, which tells you something that I have already said, and that is that the third chained light attack is guaranteed if the second one hits. Now they say third chained light because they're referring to this chain right here, but as I have explained before, Hidden Stance replaces your first light in that sense. So the third light is then the second one after Hidden Stance. So that's why that is guaranteed as well. And then the last trait that I haven't explained already is Side Slashes, which just explains the way that the side dash heavy works. So this means if I dodge to the left, it will hit the opponent from my right. But the very interesting thing here is that you can cancel Side Slashes into Hidden Stance, Viper's Retreat, Kick, or Dodge. So you get all of those four things after performing this side dash heavy. So this really just goes to show that you can side dash heavy into the kick, which I have demonstrated before, but that's not the only thing you can do. You can even go as far as to side dash heavy into Viper's Retreat like this. Or you can just simply dodge again. And because that means that you can dodge, you can chain these attacks together for as long as you have stamina. And that, as you can see, that doesn't take a lot of stamina to do. This trait I have already explained. It's basically a given that most characters can cancel their zone attack with feint, and Nobushi is no different. Obviously there are exceptions to this rule, but Nobushi isn't one of those exceptions. So this is everything that you can do as Nobushi, and now we're gonna move on to the level 1 bot, because there still is the swift recoil that I haven't demonstrated, as well as I haven't demonstrated the dodge property of Hidden Stance yet. So we're gonna do that just now. The timing for it is quite strict, but it is a very useful move. The last thing that I have to show off now is the Hidden Stance dodge property, which requires very precise timing, but if you get it right, it is very satisfying. Most of the time, you will dodge out of the way of your opponent's attack, and as soon as you've dodged it, you can input a light attack into guaranteed bleed damage and change the momentum completely in your favor, just because you dodged an attack. You don't even have to parry, you can just simply hidden stance. And hidden stance is better than a side dodge, because even though it is a side dodge, you don't dodge as far as you would like to think with your light dodge attacks, and your light dodge attacks are easy parries, as are your heavy attacks, and most of the time they are too slow. But the hidden stance guarantees 2 lights, and the second one causing bleed damage that you can then follow up by a kick or anything else that you want to continue your combo chain, which is very, very strong. This is everything that I can show you with Nobushi. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like if you did, subscribe for more. Hope I'll see you next time. Take care.